all backwards. Okay.
Be on the bright light. I'll try to,
Yeah.
use a big stick.
Okay. Okay, so we were just talking about meditating every day and how you said you use some words like it's a nucleus, it's like the sun to the orbit of like chaos.
Yeah.
And so you have this chaos, how are you managing chaos, and how is your approach different from maybe before you had this routine or you had this habit or skill or whatever you want to call it?
Before I did meditation?
Before you even knew about yoga or meditation?
Oh, like long time
Yeah.
ago? There was a curb behind you.
Thank you.
It's a good question. How did I manage it?
Well, what have you learned now?
I don't know that I think I just kind of...
And don't worry about if you don't have an answer, because I can
do.
edit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep asking you questions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm going to ask you questions that I might already know the answer to, but for video and interview purposes.
Yes.
So, did your family know about this? Did you come from this habit?
Of mindfulness and meditation?
Yes.
No.
So what has that looked like for you to pick up that skill on your own?
Well, I think that I sort of realized I was deeply inspired by Buddhism and yoga and the people that I was surrounded by that seemed to be able to, be centered even, despite hardships in their life. And I had plenty that I was carrying in my backpack.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have I was just sort of surviving and not really thinking about how to now use
For
those.
people who aren't familiar with the language, what is a backpack?
So I use that to describe
That guy's going way too fast.
so fast. He was smoking.
Yeah, I know, I saw.
They are in a hurry. So I like to think of it as as we go through life, we collect experiences, and whether they're from hardships or positive experiences, and it's like you're kind of putting them in your backpack, and things.
So that's what you're carrying.
It's not, it's not. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't
so it's not an internal,
but it's something that you now have that you get to do something with.
Yeah.
So
in your backpack could be skills and also hardships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's a great way. I don't think I said skills, but that's definitely it. You collect good or bad skills, honestly.
Yeah.
Coping skills or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to think of it like that. And then in the same way, I like to think of the skills you collect that are helpful, coping mechanisms or coping skills or practices, as a toolbox. Let's go. Yeah.
What do you do when chaos feels like too much?
I try to breathe.
Yeah.
And stay centered by, I might feel my feet on the ground. I might get into tactile sensations, feeling the pen in my hand, or some surface underneath my fingers. I think also just sort of pausing before reacting is kind of, in whatever way, shape, form that is, right? Getting space, not speaking.
Yeah.
Laying down. Depends on if it's maybe completely unregulated.
Yeah. To go kind of raw. You once helped me out of that kind of state. What, from the outside perspective, how did you do that? Because our typical practice is for the state I was in, I think most people, if you were in a Kaiser or something, they would admit you to. They would try to deal with it in a very different way than you did.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw a few things happening, which was a feeling alone and afraid, and I recognize that it's very scary when you feel that way, and there's, when you're in that state, being logical and trying to reason with anyone is not effective.
Yeah.
So
because they're not in that same realm with you, so they feel even more alone.
Yeah. So you're in an experience that feels out of body and overwhelming, and so I remember that I tried to bring you into your body by walking you through, first I think I put my hands on you just so you can kind of bring your attention to someone touching you. And then ask you to feel the bed underneath you, my hands, touching your hands. Because that's been a very important practice for me to getting me internal and in my body. And
I've seen you do that with the girls too. And and how that's changed. Like, I haven't seen you have to do that in probably 6 months or maybe 4 months.
With the girls. Totally.
So what do you think is a daily way, like when it comes to kids, because there's people dealing with that kind of thing with their kids, what is something that on a daily basis you do that keeps the girls from feeling that way?
Out of control and completely dysregulated? Connect. Look them in the eyes. Repeat what they're saying, expressing, so they feel validated and seen, felt heard. Identifying what the needs are for each of the girls, which Isla is insanely physical, so she just needs to bounce around and jump up and down, and she needs to laugh when she's dysregulated. Laughter helps bring her back in.
Totally.
Maya needs to be completely validated with, when you validate her with words like, you're feeling this way, or
understood.
She feels understood. She gets completely regulated. So I think, but really just staying connected and making them feel like they are important, because as you know, I've got a lot of people that I'm managing, and very difficult work, demanding job. So they don't love they're very tolerant of my attention being off of them, but they understandably need it a lot. So I try to give it to them as much as I can.
Okay, what's your one tip for working moms, and how can they give that attention when attention is it's scarce, because they're paying it to a job, they're paying it to all their responsibilities?
Well, one thing I want to say is my colleague and I just had this conversation, but to answer your question further about how do you keep your girls from getting dysregulated, and I think also learning about child development and psychology, and understanding that misbehavior is usually a request for connection. So I'll just tell them are you needing snuggle time with me?
You're not judging it. You're taking it almost like code, like what we were talking about before. Your brain is working this indicates this.
Yes. I've learned okay, and then now putting it to practice, it's being rewarding even for myself. So that now it's that's what I'm inclined to do, is be you usually don't respond this way. You look very upset. Do you need more time with mom? And they're yes. You want to go snuggle? Yes. And it just totally saves the day. And I think that is the one of the things, is understanding that is just getting I think it probably stems from getting present with yourself, but getting present with the people, your children, and trying to ask the question again. Let me hear it again so I can think of a.
So with moms, you've got that wallet of minutes, right? And with you're a working mom, you have a lot of those minutes have to go towards your job. How do you manage that, when the girls are needing that connection and your job is asking something of you? That's a very real problem to be in. So how are you managing that?
Okay, so it's kind of a couple things, because sometimes I don't actually have, I do have to maintain professionalism, and I have to keep I have a responsibility to my work. So I think helping the girls understand that I am my own person with these other aspects of my life that are important as well. But it doesn't mean that it they're any less of value. And that when I am with them, I try to come and show up with the most I can, so that they don't feel you know, she's giving everything to her work, which this has been definitely the case. They have straight up told me, you care more about your work than us.
Yeah.
It's like you put everything into your work, and then when it's time for us, it's like, you know, there's not much there.
Yeah.
So, you know, definitely trying to always kind of check in, like, okay, well, how can I, like, not maybe the work is like, I should figure out how to regulate better during the workday so that I have more left when I get home. Or maybe when I drive home from work, I could put into some practices and I just have 30 minutes or 50 minutes. What can I do that's short and sweet and to fill my own cup so then I have, you know, something to give the kids. And so there's a variety of practices I think I draw on. And I think like my girls are really good at reminding me, like, you know, that in various ways that they're important too. And I think just coming back to that compassion and love for them.
Yeah.
And
they're very authentic and very articulate in articulating, or like they're very articulate in their self-advocation.
Yeah, and I think that largely in part to Eric and I, and now Adam and I, and you girls, teaching them emotional intelligence and how to talk about what they're feeling, and now start to identify what the needs are underneath their feelings. So, you know, I'm feeling real upset. I need some time with you. You know, that's very easy for them to say.
Yeah.
So I think that has definitely contributed to being able to have this relationship where everyone's sort of doing their work. Yeah. And we can have a very harmonious and connected and
because in reality they're going to have that responsibility in their adult relationships, because you're teaching them at a young age to take their responsibility for their half, which right now is just saying what they need. You know, because they are so little. But I had a story the other day when Isla, it was her first time really like asking about her own needs herself without me prompting her. It was awesome. She was like, she couldn't eat until she put up her clothes, and she was so mad, and she's like, but I'm hungry. And I was like, she's like, I don't know what I need. So we walked through it, and I'm like, well, what are you feeling? She's like, I'm feeling hungry. And what do you need? I need to eat. Well, you do need to eat. And you need to get your clothes put up, and then you can. And I was like, she's like, I was like, what's the strategy to get your need met? And she's like, go eat. And I was like, yes, it also includes putting your clothes up. So you put your clothes up, and then you can go eat. And you get to. It was really cute. Because that's internal. You're in her world. Whereas like when you're an adult, if you're at work and like you're feeling grouchy, you can't just like take it out on that. You have to be like, okay, I have to finish this thing that is my responsibility, and then I can go meet the personal need, but being aware of that you're feeling it. It was super cool. I don't know what I need.